There's a hush. Hello. How are you doing? You're good? There we are. You're here, which is marvellous. Well, thank you for coming on this bitterly cold night. There's more than I thought there might be, actually, which is exciting. Good. So you're all brave and hardy Bavarders that haven't been set back by the beast from the east, which I found today. That's it, basically. It's a little wuss, but there we are. It hasn't really turned to much, has it, I don't think, but it is cold, so it is cold, and people are worried about the imminent snow. So I'm going to try and get us done by 10 o'clock tonight, because I know that, I think maybe there's a bit of snow coming, but probably not. But if there is, we need to get away. So, thank you for coming. I think most of you have been before, some are new. I'm not going to tell you what it is, you're going to learn in a minute what it's all about. But you'll have seen that I've posted on Facebook and stuff that tonight is the anniversary. It's literally a year ago today, and I know there are some original Bavarders in. I saw, where's Jenna? Where's Jenna? Yes, Jenna and Pex and Ruffs, and there's Katie. Yeah, there's a few of us in. We were here in the beginning when the Bavard Bar started, so that could be a thing. Who knows? It could be, well, it is a thing. We've made it a thing, and we're still here 12 months later, which is marvellous. So I thought what I'd do before I hand over to our speakers tonight is just very quickly, conscious of time, just mention a couple of the talks that we've had just in slides in pictorial format. But before I do that, of course, the other thing I must tell you, if you don't know, is that there is, as always, a couple of wildcards for people to do if they wish. There is that KP nuts, the 6 slides, and they stay on the screen for 15 seconds each. So they're mystery slides. You haven't seen them. You come up and you talk to these slides that will move on after 15 seconds of images that you'll never have seen before, and you make up some nonsense if you wish. There's no pressure to do that. We've had some wonderful examples of this KP light. Ruffs has done one, Pex has done one, a few others. So if you want to do it, let me know, and in the first interval, we will have a go at that. This is this new feature I started, which you can barely see, but Uja Kapivi, which is this Hastings Old Town expression, which is like Uja ma flip, thingamy bob, that sort of thing. And we had a wonderful Uja Kapivi, I think, I'm looking for Zephyr, but yes, here, wonderful Uja. You did the first ever, that back in January, you did, the first ever, which was marvellous. We've had someone do it in St Leonard's where I do it, we had someone do it, someone did it last month in St Leonard's, and they approached me a couple of days before. They said, we'd like to do this Uja Kapivi, which is basically Would I Lie to You meets Call My Bluff. Essentially, you give me a fact about yourself that's a bit unusual, and I write it down on a piece of paper, and I have another fact written down on a piece of paper. I call you up, hand you both bits of paper, you take one, so we don't know whether you're taking your actual fact or one I've made up, and then you have to bluff the audience to make them think it's true. And the one we had last week was a guy told me that he'd once posed for a naked calendar, and he was an accountant, and it was beautiful, and he fooled the audience completely. I think there was about 80 people there, and about 4 of them thought that he was telling the truth. He was telling the truth. I mean, all these go online, by the way, so you can see them on the website. But then there's this new one I've come up with, literally for tonight, which is based on Mornington Crescent. So I thought I'll get a picture of your beautiful Victoria Drive here in Eastbourne. So there's a new game, Victoria Drive. The only thing is I have no idea what the rules are. So it's very much like Mornington Crescent. So if anyone wants to play that, you can at any point, but come and speak to me and we'll drop that in. I will stop that. So those are little wildcards just to break up the night. We'll come to the speakers in a minute. I'm speaking fast because of time. So I thought I'd just do a quick whistle stop through some of the talks we've had. We've had some fabulous talks here in the 12 months we've been going. This was just a slide from the first night we had here, and it was Juliet Harris who spoke. She did a beautiful talk about talking. She's an internet broadcaster, DJ. She's also a lawyer. And she put this quote up, talking about music is like dancing about architecture, which no one can really trace, but sometimes gets attributed to Steve Martin. But her talk was a wonderful talk about talking, and I thought it set the scene for the Bavard Bar early on and really well. We then had, at some point later on, we had Mike Eccles, who's here in the audience, I've seen, gave a brilliant talk about amateur dramatics and Amdram, which was wonderful. So that was early on. We had Mel Elliott come here. She's not here tonight, but she spoke about this game that she'd invented called Dead Celebs, which is a top trumps for dead celebrities, which is a wonderful game, slightly gruesome. But there's this guy here, Timothy Treadwell, who I think is an American bear enthusiast, makes documentaries about, or made documentaries about bears, because sadly he was savaged by a bear whilst making a documentary about bears. So that's how he died. And it's a bit of a quirky but gruesome game. She spoke about that. We had Richard Garland, who I don't know if he's here tonight, but he gave a fabulous talk about his love of running, but he linked it to his battle with mental health, and it was a very, very honest and very brave and courageous story, actually, which was very moving. So that was wonderful. We had Lord Haw. We had Ross come over and speak about Lord Haw, so that was a fabulous talk. I wasn't here for that. I wasn't here for that one because I booked a holiday and forgot the date. It's always the first Thursday, if you need to know. I forgot that. This was early on. This was about August. But then we had Ruffs, who I'm looking for. Ruffs, who stepped in and bravely compared on my behalf. So thank you, Ruffs, for doing that. And Ruffs also has given 2 talks at the Bavard. Ruffs, you were the first ever who came from that first night. You didn't speak on that first night because you came not knowing, as none of us knew really what was going to happen. And then you contacted me and you gave the first, what I would call the first genuine Bavard, because you were the first speaker at the next Bavard where the speakers had come from essentially the audience. So, and Ruffs gave a fantastic talk about his love of running and the outdoors. I don't have a slide because you don't tend to use slides when you talk.
I tend to go naked.
You go naked?
Not in the clothes.
Well, talking of which, we will come to the nakedness. We will come to the... No, then we had Neil. We had Neil Robinson come and talk about fire investigation. That's the pier, obviously on fire. So that was a very, very interesting talk about all things fiery and arsony. We had Jim, he's been hit by the weather, so he can't make it tonight, but he gave a brilliant talk about an archaeological dig that he did up in the Lake District at Hardknot, which is a Roman fort. And he dug there, and I think he carried out the first ever geophysical survey there, and he explained that. That was very interesting. This was a talk we had in December. Was anybody here at the December Bavard? We sold out. Yeah, there was a few. Yeah. And we had a wonderful talk from David Bramwell, who hosts the Catalyst Club, that, as some of you will know, I based this idea on. And he gave a brilliant talk about the Portsmouth Sinfonia, the world's worst orchestra. And again, if you haven't seen it, these talks do go online, and it's a very, very good talk. They're all brilliant talks, which is why I'm referencing them, obviously, but and all of them are online, so that was very good. We had Pex, who didn't give a talk about the Fab Four, but he explained when he gave his talk that was one of his passions. In fact, Peck spoke about a group called the Peer Pressure and Eastbourne Town Football Club. Brilliant talk, and as I keep mentioning this, but the talks are on the website. Peck's talk has currently got the most views, according to YouTube and stuff like that. So it's virtually viral, Peck's. It's virtually viral. It was a fascinating and beautiful talk about essentially the work that the Peer Pressure group do to promote non-league football and stamp out effectively sort of homophobia, racism, any form of discrimination, isn't it? And it's a lovely thing, So that was beautiful. We had Richard, who I know I've seen, Richard Thomas, wonderful Richard, who gave another brilliant talk that same time as Peck's, I think, that night, about Alistair Crowley, a local. Well, he did live in Eastbourne, didn't he, for brief periods of his life, and Richard gave a fascinating account of Alistair Crowley's time here in Eastbourne and the man generally, which was a brilliant talk. And Richard, you've spoken also at St Leonard's Bavard, haven't you?
That's right, this time on dreams.
On dreams, the interpretation of dreams, so another brilliant talk. And that same night we had Pex and we had Richard. We also had one of the first Bavarders who spoke in March last year. He spoke about Sussex drunks. Come in. He spoke about come in and take a pew. Matt spoke about Sussex drunkards, and it's a brilliant talk, and it caused a little bit of controversy within the. So it was an interesting evening. We had a bit of a discussion, and that was good. So that was wonderful. And then, so you mentioned, yes, roughs, not going naked. Well, you speak naked, but not in a literal sense. We had a brilliant talk, I thought, by a group of naturists who gave a talk about naturism, and they used this slide, and which I thought was quite funny, and naturalists. But it was a lovely talk. They explained their world, and I don't know if you know, but given that we all wear clothes, naturists call us textiles. Did you know that? They make this shape. They when they see us, if they are naked, this is their alert sign, and they shout textiles. So that is a little whistle stop through the past 12 months, and thank you those of you that have come and enjoyed and spread the word. I appreciate it, and it is fun to hear all of our different passions and stories and loves. Tonight we have three fantastic Bavarders. Very excited. First up, we're going to hear from Paul Zenon, and Paul is going to get this right. Paul is going to talk to us about the inscrutable Chung Ling Soo. Is that right? Have I got that right?
That's right.
Excellent. I shall tell you nothing more. Fascinating story. Then we're going to hear from Lucy, who is sitting in front of me, and Lucy is going to talk about sex and relationships. So there may be a little bit of sex going on, but it's all going to be legal. Yes. And then finally we're going to hear from Matt Shaw, who is a former Bavarder. This is your second time, Matt, I think, isn't it? And Matt is going to talk to us about, got to get this right, Aconcagua, the yin and yang. Is that right? And I think I'm right in saying that Aconcagua is within the top 10 highest peaks on the planet? Is that
It's not. It's the highest mountain outside of Asia.
Highest mountain outside of Asia. Okay, so it's yes, so exceptionally high. 23,000, 22.
Yeah, like that. Yeah.
Yeah, a high place. So Matt has not been daunted by the weather tonight. But we'll hear from Matt again. So I think that is all I have to say. If anybody wanted to have a go at the KP Nuts thing, KP Light thing, there are 3 sets ready. I don't necessarily expect you to come and have a go now. There is a break after Paul. There'll be a break after Lucy. I do have someone for an Uja Kapivi, so there may only be the one opportunity to do the KP Light in the next break, if you wish, unless someone wants to dash forward and say, hey, I want to do it now, but I'm not feeling that immediately, so I'm going to click on. And I'm going to invite up Paul to talk to us about the inscrutable Chung Ling Soo. Right.